fact-checking is not just operationally stupid, it is a dangerous weapon for enforcing an agenda.
Si Ressa is a fraud.
The fact-checkers have just been too politically biased.
Meta has finally pulled the plug on fact-checking. And I'm gonna be more thrilled! Mark Zuckerberg's decision to end this charade is a victory for free speech.
We're gonna get rid of fact-checkers and replace them with community notes.
Journalists are not the enemy. We have a role in society. We are your allies.
Allies.
Rappler has been widely criticized for its credibility and the least trusted media brand in the Philippines. Whether it is their constant portrayal of being targeted,
manahimik ka, kundi ikaw ang susunod.
Rappler has a reputation for turning public scrutiny into a rallying cry.
Defend press freedom!
Fact-checking was never about finding the truth. It was about controlling it.
CJ Hirro is one of the best active female news anchors in the Philippines today, turning the page on a remarkable career in pageantry, where she won essentially every beauty pageant she ever joined. She leverages her platform to address critical social and political issues. Beyond her role as an anchor, CJ also serves as a volunteer firefighter, demonstrating her commitment to community service. Of the 11 PGMN rockstar anchors, CJ has thus far been the most viral on every social media platform.
Before I begin, I would like to thank those who have subscribed to our channel. I super duper appreciate all of you. And on that note, we noticed that 98% of our viewers are not actually subscribed yet, and we're trying to bring that number down to about 75. We are a new channel and we guarantee you that we are in this for the long term. It would be a huge help to us if you click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, as the bigger we grow, the more we will be able to keep giving you high quality content from some of the best and strongest people in the most fascinating fields. Thank you so much, and we are deeply grateful. In case you missed it, Meta has finally pulled the plug on fact-checking.
I started building social media to give people a voice, but a lot has happened over the last several years. A lot of this is clearly political, so we're gonna get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes and restoring free expression on our platforms.
And I'm gonna be more thrilled! This long overdue decision strips power from the self-appointed gatekeepers of truth who have used their influence to control narratives rather than foster debate. For those of us who have been silenced, suspended, or censored, this is not just a policy change, it's vindication! Zuckerberg has just set the stage for free speech to take center stage again, and I am here for it.
I was really worried from the beginning about basically becoming this sort of decider of what is true in the world. I think people just felt like the fact checkers were too biased.
The announcement by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg to end fact-checking on his platforms fell like fire and brimstone on the self-proclaimed gatekeepers of truth and information.
We're gonna get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US.
Good riddance. Serves them right. For the rest of humanity who value free speech, especially those of us who have experienced account suspensions, censorship, or the feeling of being silenced, it felt like a January drizzle that Pag-asa did not forecast and Maria Ressa could not fact-check.
Give us greater access to information. Journalists are not the enemy. We have a role in society. We are your allies.
It is almost amusing how these beloved fact-checkers were blindsided by Zuckerberg's decision, considering he made clear admissions as early as August last year about Meta's role in free speech suppression, political censorship, and even the muzzling of COVID-19 related content. There had been pressure from big governments and other entities, and for a time, it worked. Until it did not. The signals were there. Zuckerberg had had enough and was preparing for a pivot long before the US elections and Donald Trump's comeback. These gatekeepers are acting like their cancellation is a tragedy for humanity. Newsflash, it is not. Unsurprisingly, Rappler, one of Meta's most vocal partners, is dismayed and appalled by Zuckerberg's bad-mouthing.
We are dismayed by Meta's decision to end the fact-checking program in the United States made by Mr. Zuckerberg, bad-mouthing fact-checkers.
They have warned Filipinos that Meta's fact-checking purge in the US is just the beginning, raising the alarm about perilous times in the fight to preserve and protect our individual agency and shared reality. Shared reality. What does that even mean? Where did that come from? It is a phrase that reeks of Orwellian doublespeak. Just an attempt to stay relevant when their influence is waning. Of course, we are talking about the same Rappler that has been widely criticized for its credibility and has consistently ranked as the least trusted media brand in the Philippines, with a history of pushing narratives that often painted it as a victim of state persecution. Whether it is their constant portrayal of being targeted by the government,
Si Ressa is a fraud. Maniwala kayo.
or their penchant for framing criticism as oppression, Rappler has a reputation for turning public scrutiny into a rallying cry.
Malinaw po ang mensahe ng gobyerno. Manahimik ka, kundi ikaw ang susunod.
Kapag malaya ang Rappler at ang media, kinakatakutan ito ng sinumang diktador, ng sinumang abusadong opisyal.
They got zucked! And no one is shedding tears. Their commentary on Zuckerberg's move, which attracted only a little over 2,000 views, was paired with a melodramatic video description. Look at this. The description reads like a lament for a bygone era of centralized truth policing, but its dramatic tone only underscores the disconnect between Rappler's self-image and public perception.
I think that the wholesale dumping of WikiLeaks actually isn't journalism.
Phrases like hyper-partisan narratives that bring the worst in human nature are ironic, coming from an outlet criticized for partisanship. Their use of corrupted information ecosystem implies that their view is the singular antidote to misinformation, ignoring their own biases and credibility issues.
Fact-checking and verification is a critical due diligence process that responsible journalists and newsrooms go through each time we publish stories to protect the welfare of audiences.
It is hard to take seriously a lecture on dangerous precedents from a media group that consistently frames criticism as existential threats to democracy. And then there is Vera Files, a media organization tasked by Facebook to be a third-party fact-checker alongside Rappler and the Agence France-Presse Philippines. Vera Files, which presents itself as a neutral arbiter of truth, has also publicly confirmed receiving financial support from the National Endowment for Democracy, or NED. So what? Well, established in 1983, NED is a US-based nonprofit organization with the stated mission of promoting democracy worldwide. However, NED's activities often align with US foreign policy interests, leading to criticism that it functions as an instrument of US geopolitical strategy. Former Foreign Service officer and world-renowned critic of US foreign policy, William Blum, and other observers have noted that NED was created to carry out operations that would have been deemed too controversial for the CIA, such as funding opposition groups abroad under the guise of promoting democracy. To those who think that is a conspiracy theory, well, let me tell you that in 1991, NED's co-founder and first president, Alan Weinstein himself, confessed to the Washington Post, and this is verbatim, "A lot of what we do today was done covertly 25 years ago by the CIA." Vera Files does not see anything wrong with getting funding from NED. So now, I ask you, can Vera Files be trusted? Is Vera Files independent? Was it right for entities like Vera Files to be in charge of fact-checking us? Now, here's what does not make sense to me. The same people who are vehemently against martial law and its suppression of press freedom are the loudest supporters of modern-day censorship, as long as it aligns with their agenda. Why is suppressing free speech okay when it benefits them? The hypocrisy is glaring. Fact-checking as a system has always been fundamentally flawed. Why should anyone trust a glorified system that relies on the same open-source information available to everyone? Fact-checkers do not have access to unique evidence. They are working from the same data as the rest of us. If that's the case, why not let the public decide for themselves? Let individuals fact-check with due diligence rather than allowing these experts to dictate what is true. And let us not forget, fact-checking is operationally impossible. With over 5 billion social media users, including journalists, each with an agenda, an opinion, an idea, or just any story about anything from alien abductions to PBBM's personal history, how on earth, flat, spheroidal, or whatever, can a real across-the-board fact-checking system even function? The answer is simple. It cannot. Fact-checking has always been selective, cherry-picking what to flag and who to silence based on political or ideological leanings. Anti-CPP, NPA, and Makabayan bloc advocates like myself have had their accounts suspended and posts critical of the rebels taken down. Meanwhile, leftists and NPA-aligned groups often got a pass. Is that fair? Hardly. It is a rigged system, and we have all seen it play out. And who fact-checks the fact-checkers? Who holds these fact-checkers accountable? Who checks their biases, their agendas? The truth is, no one does. The real danger for democracy and free speech is not the suppression of words. It is the imposition of an agenda espoused by a few who think they know and understand better under the guise, to borrow a Rappler term, of preserving our collective safety and well-being.
Technology has changed the rules and how we're caught in the middle. We're all still trying to use rules of the past to define new situations. And I think one of the things we have to do with technology, with social media in particular, is to grab and create new rules.
These fact-checkers hide behind the claims of protecting shared realities or preserving democracy.
Without facts, you can't have truth. Without truth, you can't have trust. Without this, you have no shared reality. You don't have democracy.
But democracy is not about gatekeeping. It is about robust, open debate. Fact-checking was never about finding the truth. It was about controlling it. Over the years, fact-checking has influenced policies, shaped election results.
The FBI had the laptop in December of 2019, Andy. They said it was disinformation in October of 2020. The election that year was November 3rd. Why is it worse than we know?
They knew, and the intelligence community knew, that this was not a Russian disinformation operation. This was Hunter Biden's authentic laptop data. And yet, what they did was strong-arm the social media platforms to suppress information about the laptop story. And then the intelligence used that storyline to write their letter claiming that the laptop story was a Russian influence operation, which President Biden himself invoked when Trump tried to raise the laptop in the final presidential debate.
And police discourse under the guise of protecting public safety. Just imagine the damage it could have continued to do if Zuckerberg had not stopped this bullshit. Fact-checking is not just operationally stupid, it is a dangerous weapon for enforcing an agenda. Mark Zuckerberg's decision to end this charade is a victory for free speech. By removing fact-checking, Meta shifts the responsibility of discerning truth back to its users. It is not about spreading misinformation. It is about trusting individuals to think critically and engage with diverse perspectives. Free speech is not tidy, but it is the cornerstone of democracy. So to Rappler, to Vera Files, and the rest of the gang, zuck all that up and leave us alone. I'm CJ Hirro for PGMN.